see. Haley, who put out a record, just left, so that's how good of a band we are.
Oh, you fellas ready for this jam? What is it?
What was the jam?
Now half safe?
Oh, the jam?
Well, just take it off.
Just drop it.
They're dropping it.
Beat, man.
Wow. Yeah.
Look as if you see a ghost. I'd often wonder who you love the most.
spontaneous and exciting bill. Our friends Steve, who rarely gets to play, are playing this evening. And the special guest being and the kids. You can see that. That's pretty fucking sweet. Oh, there he goes off in the wilderness with the wilderness, bushwhacking with the little man because his little hair. He can't do it anymore. Whoa! Red ball, ladies and gentlemen, red ball. I'm getting shocked. That's okay, I don't care, I like it. If you are going to launch, be nice to the people around you. No red. Oh, it's such a beautiful day outside. Oh, what a day it is. Oh, what do you even know what you're doing? Have you heard the news recently? Oh, what about Frosty? I don't even know what to do myself.
Did you know that Danny DeVito was 6'2"? 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 Did you know that Danny DeVito was 6'2"?
unbelievable lineup. Really special to have the Bolise here. Absolutely bonkers. Taxidermists and Bloodmobile, totally insane. Yeah, so let's get cracking. Yeah? Woo! Great.
I'm not saying I want you dead. I'm just trying to understand. Why aren't you dead? You wear a hat. Why aren't you dead like my brother?
Yeah, we'll take a brief break and then Pharmacon.
Oh my god.
Every fucking time. Every fucking time.
Come over there, I thought this was a vibrator. Oh, God. And then I was like, that's...
Welcome to another Focus Locus Presents. Today we are lucky enough to have Sam Hadge joining us. So this has been sort of a long time coming episode, but Sam Hadge is a local music archivist in the Valley. He's been doing this for 5 years, recording about around 1,000 sets. It's hard to kind of qualify that number because it's so high, but about 1,000 sets a year. And you can find more of Sam's recording of local music and music all across the country too, on YouTube, and he also has a Patreon. Sam, do you want to say hi to our viewers?
Hello.
All right. So to start off, how did you get started doing this project?
Let me think. I found an old camera that my mom bought in high school, or bought when I was in high school, to film sports and things, and brought it to a show. That's pretty much how I started. Because there's lots of bands who would never put out actual CDs and things that I'd like to watch sets from. Yeah.
Do you remember what show it was? The first one you shot?
Yeah, one of the start of the video is from the first show. It was player 1. Let me see. No, it's player 2, Invisible Robot Hands, Buick, and Ratatouille. I didn't record the Ratatouille set or the Invisible Robot Hand sets. The other two I did. There's an Amherst.
Cool. Yeah, so we just watched, for everyone who joined us to watch that great combination of sets that Sam put together for this show, which was a history. Do you want to talk a little bit about why you chose the different sets that you did for that? I know it's an hour long, but maybe there's some outliers that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I just tried to pick one good set from each location that I thought was important to the area. So I tried to get as many house venues or smaller venues that I could put in. There's not that many that were most of them were just good sets, or sets that I thought represented the space pretty well. There's a handful I picked just because they're really short. Yeah.
There's some really interesting, I feel like you picked some that have kind of a almost a different sort of plot point than just the music. There's that one where at the very end some of the equipment starts to smoke, and they're it's a very dramatic sort of moment.
Yeah. I thought that was really funny. And also it's just a crazy story that people talked about for a while because the monitor just kind of blew up.
Yeah. So I want to get into sort of some more archival theme questions for you a little later, but I guess just you record about 1,000 sets a year is what you say on your Patreon, and it's very obvious from your YouTube. So what was that first year like? Were you I'm gonna record as many as I can? Were you already going to that many shows?
Yeah, I was already going to 4 to 5 shows a week, and then I was I'll just record all the ones that I go to.
Yeah. Easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Easy enough. So one reason why I wanted to talk to you, so this show, Focus Locus, for anyone who's watching, or and for you also, is it's really it's a filmmaker's show. And I've seen you at sets all over the Valley, since I've been here. And I've always really been fascinated by your filming methodology, because there's something about it that really fits. It's at this point in the pandemic and this past year, we've seen a million different sort of highly like super curated, like multi-camera. And sometimes you go to a show and there's someone who has like a really like, you know, who has a whole setup and is kind of sort of confused by the like by being in sort of the group of people. And I always sort of liked, and you can see it in all of the actual footage that you have too. It really feels like you're just there as opposed to like you're watching a video of something. Like the I don't know. I always liked how you held the camera very low. So I wanted to know, like, what do you have like a methodology, or are you just like, are you there to see the show and the filming comes second, I guess?
Kinda. I am just like gonna watch the show and then press record. I try not to think about the fact that I'm recording it. It's just like kind of happening. If I know a show's gonna be like really wild, sometimes I'll find a corner to put the camera in because I've broken it once and I'd rather not break it again. And that one actually, there's a funny thing where people call it like, they mention that I sway a lot during sets, so the camera's always like going back and forth like this. Other people wrote it, they sway. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. The like the sort of, I don't know. It's not at all sort of divorced from you as a person who likes being at the show, and it's very immersive in that sense. I don't know. It's very sick, and I feel like it makes it's like it fits the purpose of these shows, which is like small and communal and
Yeah, I always think it's more fun to feel like when you're watching a video to feel like you're there instead of just like feeling like you're on the side, like kind of watching it.
Yeah. So you've been on tour and filmed sets on tour. I know that you did that sort of closer to when everything sort of shut down. And I bet you've done that. I think you've done that multiple times. So what is that like?
It's pretty much the same. I don't know. It's just going and pressing record. But I mean, tour's kind of fun. I only really started going on tour. I guess it's been a while now. I was gonna say when I moved in here, but that's been like 5.5 years at this point. But yeah, it's cool. And then it's also cool because I get to meet so many other people. Like there's this guy, Andrew Chadwick, who lives in Gainesville, and he does the exact same thing I do of recording all the shows. Except he's like much more meticulous with his editing, which I find kind of fun. Yeah. So it's pretty much the same, but I meet a bunch of new people and have to like find new angles and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, so I want to, cause you use the word archive, which I feel like is kind of, it's definitely the case, of course. But I feel like, I don't know, why do you think that this is important, I guess?
Because there's so many bands, mainly it's because there's so many like bands and improv acts and stuff who will never actually record. And so the only way to know about them is to find a video and watch it. Like the only way to hear their music is to find a video and watch it. And I think that's really important. And then also I found myself watching like punk bands from 1984 on YouTube. And it's always just so interesting to see how it changes and how the people at shows like changes over time and then interaction and everything.
Yeah, it's like I wrote down it's really cool that the videos are like, they really like capture like a very specific moment, especially like in the like tied to like Western Mass as a place. I don't know, like thinking about how Flywheel doesn't have that space anymore, and how many shows were at Flywheel, and same thing with like, I don't know, like Cold Spring Hollow obviously still exists, but I haven't been there in a year, like a very long time, and it's just like very cool to see especially a place like that where there's so many where like the decor changes so drastically pretty quickly.
Totally.
Yeah. So, yeah, so like I want to talk a little bit about YouTube because like you said, like there's kind of like something very, I don't know, we've all like looked for a band on YouTube and found like someone's page where like the video has like under, has like 1,000 views and it's just filmed by someone who was there, but it's like this it's a super important historical piece of, like, it's, yeah, like thank God for it, So I was wondering, like, what videos on your channel have like a ton of views? Like, has anything surprised you about like having a big archive?
There's one, I can't think of the name of the band, but there's this one video where shortly after the tour happened, one of the people in the band passed away. And then lots of people have watched the video and like commented on about how like great it is to see that person's face and like hear their voice. So that one surprised me, and it's awesome. I think it's a very cool thing to happen. And then like ones with a ton of views, it's mostly bands like Gloss has a bunch of views, like Uranium Club, those kinds of bands. So none of the really popular ones surprised me too much. Your Palm has a bunch of views.
Do you and you like you said that you've met people who do the same thing. Is there anyone else who you like keep up with on YouTube who does the same thing besides Andrew Chadwick or anyone else you want to shout out, I guess?
Well, I love the Zebra1212 channel. It's just so good. And that one's all Western Mass videos from before I was doing it. And that's Ted Lee, who does Feeding Tube Records. Yeah, so his archive is amazing and is like shows from 2000 to 2012. And there's a couple others, but I can't think of their names. Someone added me to a Facebook page that was like people who record live shows. Yeah.
Sick. So this is sort of a tech. This is kind of like a filmmakery question, which is like, how, if at all, has your sort of perspective on archival work in like this changed since you started?
Not much. I don't know.
That's totally fair. Do you feel like, has anything changed for you about it, or is it just
not really. Like I still think it's a good thing to do. I'm into it. Yeah, I don't know.
So do you want to talk about some of your favorite sets that you've filmed?
Sure. The Buick one that's at the start of that video, that's a favorite because I really love that band, and they have maybe one album, and then I think that's that's one of like 3 live videos of them. So that one's really good. I really like the Gloss one I mentioned earlier because it was just such a crazy event to happen outside in the middle of Hadley at like 1:00 in the morning. And people were like running around carrying bushes, people were like moshing with a broken tree, which was weird. It was just such an like event to happen. Same thing with the Lean set that I recorded, which is also in that video. That one was outside in Hadley at 5:00 in the morning or 4:00 in the morning, and I just love that it happened. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of those where it's like there's a good story behind the set. So I'm really into them.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if you had any stories any other stories about the music archive. Even in the video, like, have you recorded anything really crazy happening besides? I mean, obviously the memoriam story is like very, very cool and super interesting. And like, has anything else like that happened? Yes.
I don't know. Well, there's that. There's one video I took was it? I had a friend pass away who lived in Providence, and then we all got together, and one of my bands played a set at his friend's house, and then we all just jammed for like 2 hours. I recorded that whole thing, and that's a really cool one to watch. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably some other crazy stories. Not that I can think of. There's a lot of like bands before they were big, and they slowly got big later, which is always fun to watch because you can see them change over time. Like I feel like Palberta is a good one because they just change so much with every set. Yeah.
What about like places, like houses that maybe were around and were really big for a while and now aren't around anymore, you know?
Titanica, which is where the Gloss show happened, and then during that video I had a Gay Mare set that was there. That house, they did like all of the punk shows for a while. Like Haley, who lived around here, booked pretty much every punk band and would have it there. And so that's a cool house to look at. Because it was also too small for the shows, which made it very fun and crazy. Gremlin House is pretty iconic, and that was in Florence. And I have a couple of those videos. Can't anywhere else. Pencil Factory. It's a pretty good one. That's a really cool basement. It's so big. Yeah. I feel like there's probably more. The Dollhouse, I used to book shows of that. I liked it because the basement was like kind of spooky and felt like it was gonna fall in on you. Yeah, I did a real like vibe to all the shows. Yeah.
Yeah, how has sort of the scene changed since you started recording things? Like if you looked at the archive as a whole, like what would you be like, this is what I think you can tell from this, you know?
A lot less punk bands, I've noticed. It's a lot less like punk bands lately. More of this weird like classic rock revival kind of thing that's gotten really popular. That's also that's like all the Hadley scene, you know? Like everyone from Hadley is really into it. Yeah. I don't know. Less punk bands, more of that. There's some more noise, which is always great. Yeah, since we started having more noise shows here, there's just been a lot more noise in the area. Yeah. I think things have gotten a little less crazy, like a little less chaotic. That also goes in like waves. I feel like all of it goes in waves. So in like 2 years, there's gonna be 50 punk bands, and they're all gonna be acting real wild.
Trying to think of how I want to, I don't know, like what is sort of the because there's a lot, you have a lot of like when there's a lot of noise sets, and also I feel like people have sort of in that scene sort of more so do this. I really love in your recordings when there's like a projection or like something super visually interesting happening, which doesn't really happen like that's really sort of, I don't know, like it's really like a house show thing, and it's also like, I don't know, like I guess like what are like some really cool like visual moments in the archive that you really like? Think of it more so as like a visual.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ghosts in the salad set here is really cool because he has like this ridiculous costume that looks kind of like it's falling apart, kind of like he's a swamp creature. But it just blended in so perfectly with the like really old house. And that one's like visually really good. There's a set I recorded Bob Hat at INC where it's like it's in the green room, so everything's green, and then one of my friends set off a smoke bomb, so it just starts filling with smoke, and you can't really see what's going on. Then all of a sudden you see Bob like tearing through the smoke playing saxophone. That one's really good. Oh, there's a set I filmed in the basement here, one of the only basement sets. And I zoomed in on the like creepy cat thing. Well, and everything was blue. It looked really good. Section 35. Yeah. Let me think, what else? There's a whole bunch. There's a lot of really good visual ones. I really like the way Macula Dog looks. They wear like crazy costumes and then have flashing lights. Any Diagram A set, Dan always has like weird looking mask on with giant springs coming off of it. It looks like something out of a Mad Max movie. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I guess sort of my last question is, what advice or just like what would you say to people in other parts of the country or the world that are like you 5 years ago and were like, this is super important, and like maybe there's been sort of a hole in time of like things locally getting recorded, like what would you say to those people?
Get a really cheap camera and then press record. And YouTube's really easy to upload to. That's like the nice thing about YouTube is you can do batch uploads and it's really easy. And most of the time they don't really care what's in the video. Like sometimes they will be kind of strict on it, but usually they don't care. So it's very easy to upload sets there. Yeah, as long as you have a computer and internet connection and a cheap camera, it's very easy to go out and do. So just do it.
Oh, actually, so on your Patreon, you have like a level where you send people DVDs. Do you
Yeah, I've
have?
never actually done it.
Okay, but do you archive this stuff in any other way or just online and?
It's just online and on my external hard drives. But I thought it was like a cool offer. I thought someone might want it, so I put it. Because my computer can burn DVDs, so I was like, and I got a bunch of free blank ones.
We should totally find like some, I don't know. I feel like this shit is, I don't know, this is so important to like such a big part of human life in the area is like, I don't know, like punk is important and music is important. So like we should, if you ever want to like what's it called? Redundancy in archives where you like have it in multiple different ways. Yeah. But yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So where can people find you? What do you?
On YouTube is the easiest way. That's pretty much the main place. And then there's the Patreon. If you want. That's mostly. It's most of the places.
All right.
Yeah.
So So that's all I have. Do you want to say anything else to our? No.
I don't think so. I don't really have anything else.
You excited for shows to come back in person, obviously.
Yeah, I went to the John Doe Jr. window shows, and those were neat. Because they had everyone like hang out in the 2 parking spots in front of the store / on the sidewalk, and like everyone was wearing masks and recorded the set through the window. They had a PA, like everything was mic'd up, and the PA was outside. It was neat.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
All right. So yeah, everyone, go watch some sets. one of the
Nice.
greatest joys in the world. All right. Good night. Focus Locus.
Good night. Bye.